teenage girls.
You don't have to be called an activist to talk about what's right.
I'm curious if there was a moment, Billie, when you were like, oh, climate change.
The phrase global warming, I had no idea what that meant. You know, I was like, it's warm, yeah.
Warm sounds like kind of a nice thing.
It does sound like a nice thing. I don't know if there was a specific moment. It was just kind of a growing thing of me just like, damn, this is really going on and it's really getting worse, so.
So you gotta do something with all that caring.
Absolutely. It's so much easier to just say nothing, right? It's like every little thing really does matter, as small as it may be. I just feel better as a person doing them, you know? Little things. I feel better as a person not eating meat and dairy. I feel better as a person not using straws. I want to know like what your feeling is on how and where to like channel our energy.
When it comes to addressing the climate crisis, we have to transform everything, right? It's electricity, it's transportation, it's like buildings and agriculture and land use and manufacturing, like it's all of this. It actually helps me to choose an area of focus, right? Like I am a marine biologist, so I focus on the ways that the, you're smirking at me like a real life marine biologist.
Oh, I know, because it's crazy. Go on.
Yeah, my focus is on this like intersection between ocean and climate, and used to be more so on the science side, but now it's on the policy side, right? Because it's like this crazy puzzle of science and policy and economics and culture that all add up to how we live together on this planet.
A lot of the world is like, well, if you're gonna speak up, you have to be 100% committed to every single thing that goes with what you're saying. But really, it's not about being 100% perfect, it's about doing what you can. How would you go about talking to somebody that wanted to know how they could decide what to care about?
A lot of times when people ask me about this, it's like, what's the one easy, simple, quick thing I can do to save the planet? And I just want to say like, yo, we are so past that point. For me, the question is like, what's the thing you can do first? The way that I think about it is kind of like a Venn diagram. Imagine like 3 overlapping circles. The first one would be like, what are you good at? Like, what skills do you have being a web developer or a farmer or an artist or a teacher or a lawyer or someone who makes things really cool so that other people want to join in? And then there's like, what is the work that needs doing, right? What is the whole list of climate solutions that we need to like go full speed ahead with? And then there's the part that like people don't think about enough, which is what brings you joy? Like what's gonna get you out of bed in the morning so that this is not just like a miserable slog.
I love it.
How are you exploring that for yourself? How are you finding that it's like exciting for you to show up?
I've signed petitions, I've gone to marches, I've talked about it in shows. I really try to say it as much as I can to as big of a crowd as I can. Geez, I have this way to stand in front of, 60,000 people. I could say anything. On tour, we've been kind of doing everything you can think of to make them really green.
How have you found, Billie, with has been the reaction as you've been like putting yourself out there, using your platform to spread the word about all the things people can do?
The thing that's been like really nice is seeing, especially a lot of like young fans, say like, ever since Billie said this, I've changed the way that I live my life. I just got shivers just saying that, just because even as small as it could be is so impactful. I have talked about this since I can remember. Don't shove whatever you want someone else to feel down somebody else's throat. You have to let them come to it by telling them about it, talking to them about it, telling them how you feel about it, not how they should feel about it. Nobody's gonna wanna do something if they're forced into it. It's just how we as human beings work.
When we think about who's impacted by the climate crisis, it's often communities of color, poor people who are already marginalized who just get like hit the hardest by the impacts, right? Whether that's like hurricanes or floods or wildfires or droughts, it's people who don't have a lot of options and resources to protect themselves or to rebuild their lives, who are super at risk. When we talk about climate justice, it's making sure that everyone has an equal opportunity for a healthy and safe life, even though the world is changing around us. And if we don't do that, then in my opinion, like, we won't have solved the problem. I'm really excited about the cultural shift that's happening that you're a part of. How do we shift the status quo? How do we shift what's normal?
Something that's been really exciting for me is seeing how hard companies are going at trying to make clothes and shoes and any type of merchandise for whatever as, you know, climate friendly as possible.
So it really matters that someone is brave enough to say, like, we're gonna eliminate waste from our supply chain. Like, whatever the things are, I think that's so key to like have the bar just going up and up and up. Like, people used to repair their socks. I don't know, I feel like I've read this in Little House on the Prairie, like darning socks or something, right? Like, it was normal to patch your clothes. It was normal to hand down your jeans to your little sister, right? Like, let's repair things. Let's not just throw them away. Let's think about how we can make things to last. Like, it's almost like a back to basics vibe.
What are things that make you hopeful?
It's really amazing for me to see young people, teenagers, like registering to vote in record numbers, turning up to the polls, calling their elected officials, being like, yo, I need you to do way better on climate. Because that has totally changed the game.
Hearing people talk about, since she said this, I changed this. That makes me so hopeful, and I will say it till I die. Just any impact, it's so important. I was wondering for you, like, how do you, given that you know what you know about the climate, how do you stay grounded and like take care of yourself while knowing what you know?
I have no idea if all the things that I'm trying are gonna work. It's big and it's scary, but my brain's reaction is not to get depressed and give up. It's to say, like, all right, what are we gonna do? Who's doing what part? How fast can we get this done? What are the solutions we have at our fingertips? Like, how can we collaborate? How can we build the biggest team? The trick is to find ways to be useful. On my gravestone, for sure, I will earn the words like, she tried, you know? And that's kind of like all we can do.
Listen, it's all you can do. It's all you can, what else can you do but try?